So does mistakes of others excuse us to be like every other average man? That's a title for today. And here's my story. Too many big words in this one little title. What does it mean, average? What does it mean, a man? What does it mean, a mistake to you? What are the excuses that one can make not to take a responsibility? So, key word in this title is an excuse. The other key word is mistakes, which are not always mistakes until they are repeated second time. First instance of any kind of event and your reaction on this event is just called a reaction, action or non-action. Second instance of your own action, reaction or non-action on the very similar event is called a mistake. So you cannot ignore anything that you learned until this moment. Yet you can always find an excuse not to be vigilant, not to repeat the same action as from before. One of the major instances is a history. His story is the one that it's making a lot of confusion for us not to look at it deeply. Why we have to have 2,000 wars in the last 2,000 years? Why we have to resolve everything through a legal confrontation where you actually handing over your life in the hands of others, lawyers, advocates, judges, and they will do absolutely the same mistake as ever before because they are learning from the books. They're not always, well, let's say mostly true. Let's say all legal cases, all legal proceedings, because to me, every single human has its own right to defend itself, to not to be prejudged for whatever has been done until has been informed. So the present way of living, present, let's say last 2,000 years, we've been completely deceived by not knowing any kind of previous mistakes that our ancestors did it. And even in this lifetime, you are actually forced into believing that once when you make a mistake, it doesn't matter, cross outside of the sidewalk with a zebra, okay? Suddenly this becomes a mistake because it's legalized, it's by law, it's something that somebody else made a judgment about where you as a free human should walk. So what the legal system is doing, what governments are doing, they're giving us an opportunity to do a same mistake over and over again without truly rectify a cause of our problem, because they are feeding off our mistakes and they are feeding off our guilt of these mistakes. Would you do the same mistake twice? Let's say if you know that these consequences or whatever they were, causing harms to others and causing harm to yourself. Not maybe immediately that if you go in a war and pull the gun on some Vietnamese village people, they live in a village, and you bomb them to death, to oblivion, and you come back to your state and you become a hero. Are you kidding me? So how come somebody who takes other life in another country, which is not even close to belonging to him or to any of his ancestors, he goes in and kills thousands of people. And he comes back and he's the biggest patriot and he gets all the medals. So this is where we've been really duped as a humanity. We perpetuating a war as the only solution to continue living in the mistake. So, how to expose these excuses that we have been given? Let's say now, present moment. Suddenly Trump comes out after the brilliant 90 days of being in the White House, changing absolutely all the swamp approach to decay and to status quo of the dark elite and this deep state of despair and fear. Suddenly he comes up in public and saying that bombing of Syria has been done for a retaliation of using sarin gas or whatever weapons of mass destruction that they invented, that these people have. So, who used the sarin gas? Who bombed these people of their own? So, the Assad, the president of legally elected president of Syria, he bombed his own people to demise his chances to make a peace with the rest of the world, right? Wrong. To absolutely, the most stupid common sense that I have, to me it's ludicrous to put the blame on somebody who is actually trying to resolve this situation for many years. It's just how it was presented to you, and you bid it as the best possible cake or apple that you can find. Warmongering cake. Let's kill the Saddam or whatever, now Assad or whoever you choose to. You go fly across the half of the globe and just destroy them. Mother of all mother bombs, father of all, like absolute ludicrous commentaries coming from these stupid mouth pieces on the news. So, going back to mistakes, did Trump made a mistake accepting a guilt of his rogue military in the NATO and in the industrial complex? That Pentagon is split in many pieces, and nobody at the present moment controls all of it. They are, let's call it, independent, rogue, dark pieces. Yet, is this a mistake of Trump by accepting that he bombed the Syria? I'll let you think about this, because you will, by thinking in this way, that maybe he was trying to take a blame on actions that are very deceitful from a dark entities within, let's say, his army or within the NATO. Why nobody is paying attention what NATO was doing all these years in collusion with CIA? How many wars they will get involved? How many tons of drugs they get imported? You go from 70s, Nicaragua, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, and on and on and on. What is the intrinsic reason behind these wars? So ask yourself, try to find the solutions. And what is the reason to pretend that Trump suddenly bombing another independent country And he's so eager to make finally United States independent outside of the claws of this dark cabal crapsters who just know nothing else but doing a war. So don't get excused by the previous mistakes that other beings did, like Nixon's, like whoever was, raging a war, like Bill Clinton bombing Serbia or getting involved in separation of Yugoslavia and so on. Or recently Obama in Ukraine and the Afghanistan. So every of these presidents had their chance, yet none of them comes out with a brand new approach, that these were mistakes, that we should learn something as a nation, as you are as a leader of the nation, and not to engage again in the war, no matter what reasons they do to their own people. Why they don't attack China? Because she, or the policy there is they can have only one baby. So what? China is preventing people to have sex? Or they're punishing them if they have 2 babies? To me, this is unhumane. But it's not worth it to go and bomb the China, because they cannot even, American complex, they cannot even make a boo to the China. Why at the same time, where this Syrian conflict was, let's call it unfolding, fake conflict is unfolding between America and Syria, why Chinese president was with Trump, not in the White House, but in his Florida resort. One of the things, White House, it's too bad. Too many spies are spying there, and they pretending they're just doing their job, receiving the salary without any kind of repercussions for what they're doing wrong, until Trump comes up with a new statement. So expect truly miracles from this guy. No matter bombing, no matter some of the, let's call it stupid and borderline deceitful expressions when he flipped a coin with the NATO. No, he did not flip the coin on the NATO, because NATO bombed Syria without his permission. Trump called NATO dude in the White House, and you can actually see how he kept him absolutely under his foot all the time, stating that NATO will be dissolved if they don't turn around and start fighting really the terrorists. He didn't specify Muslim terrorists or any other, let's say, religious terrorists, but he specified terrorists, meaning terrorists within the CIA, terrorists within the military complex, the Pentagon and the rest. So these are the worst internal terrorists that nobody want to talk about until now, and it's slowly coming up. Don't expect a massive amount of data or videos or confirmations or judgments against many of these guys. It'll be 1, 2, 5, 20, then many others will just resign. They will start running for the hills, and they will not be able to run fast because they are already caught. They're already caught in the mistakes they were perpetuating on an average person who never even considered that there is another way, that you don't have to believe what the government say. You investigate by yourself. You try to find an alternative approaches. So this is all what we are doing, like people like me, like David Icke, like Julian Assange. Don't get me wrong, I really mean no harm to these warmongers, but I will tell you that I intend that they feel their own medicine, not wanting to learn from the mistakes they were doing again and again and again. At the same time, putting the blame on you, an average, uninformed human. So please help us to stop this absolutely ludicrous mistake-making, warmongering techniques that were flooding this planet for thousands of years.